pretty sure that lost the stream for LinkedIn, which is awesome. Um, you know, let's who cares, right? I'm not supposed to. Anyway, well, this sucks. And now it's like the options are not even working properly for screen share. It's so cool. Man. Okay. So let's see. No, I guess it is working for LinkedIn again. I don't know. Anyway, don't have time for it. Do have time for getting started. So was going to walk through putting together a let me just hide this because it's super I wish, like, I'm not really sure why I can't put myself in the corner. Sounds funny, but no. Used to be able to like uh, have myself somewhere down here on the screen, as opposed to like having to share space with the visual, but it's not considering my other screen as a participant. So let me see. Which this has never been an issue in the past, but first time for everything. Yep, still doing it. Awesome. Thanks so much, Talk Studio. It's really cool when you use like the same software, but uh, it behaves two different ways. There has to be a menu for this. Come on. If there's a participant one, there we go. Okay, cool. Sweet. Let's get back to work. Um, all right. So now that we've got at least a good idea of the business. Okay, cool. So all right, cool. So let's break down the ICPs a little bit more. Let's get into a bit more detail so that we can take a look at what those businesses really look like top to bottom and best methods of approach. So what we're going to want to do is take a look at not only the ICPs, but we're also going to want to take a look at those types of business leaders. Then we need to go take a look at social to understand like how they speak to each other, how they interact with each other, that kind of thing. And to also understand the ways in which they express any sort of frustration or pain signals that they might be having, any sort of negative feelings towards the use of, let's say, AI agents in place of something else, because there's always the case where we can at least do a demonstration to prove the viability of the product. And let's also take a look at social posts from some of these businesses to also gather whether like how often they're looking for people so that we can gauge level of expansion. Like just put as many like cross-referencing metrics as you can into it because there's no reason not to. Man, this is super, super frustrating. So yeah, I'm not even sure how this works for most streaming services. Like, I don't know, it's really weird. Like, I don't know why it's laggy because at this point, I don't even think a background agent is. Wow, there's one agent running. That's so low, like low bandwidth. It's not even funny. Okay, let's run this anyway. If anything, hopefully I can just clip this later. Post it later for a video or something. Let's see. So we're starting to develop a pattern. Come on, buddy. So that's the thing. It's like you don't want to just go with like, okay, develop my ICP and now go find my ICPs, right? And or like develop my ICP and then give me a breakdown of what the firmographics are, plug those into Clay, and then awesome, here's all my potential leads, right? Not really. Again, it's anytime, and I'm not saying don't use Clay, definitely use it, but I just see Clay as more of like outbound, not inbound. And it's not as if this isn't necessarily an outbound method, right? It's certainly not necessarily meant to be like inbound lead gen, but it kind of bridges the two. So in other words, like how I've used this system is almost what you're seeing here, and using it to start a personal conversation with people. So once I do find somebody that falls into the metric of a client or candidate or whatever that I do want to interact with and I do want to actually do business with, then now I have this much deeper, much richer understanding for who they are. Not only that, but we'll get into it, like who they are, how my business applies to them, all of that kind of thing. Okay, so what's happening internally? There's like I think the issue, let's see. I wish I could tell you what the issue is, to be honest. I don't know. And I can't tell how much lag there is on the other end. I wish there was some kind of meter to be like, hey, you're 5 seconds behind or something. Okay. Yep. That's what I figured. It's definitely going to be people that are hiring someone who is an AI specialist in HubSpot, let's say, or they're trying to build out an AI specialist position, and they're going to hire somebody out for maybe 130, 180K, which 130 depends on how much work you're doing. You have to do like a crazy amount of automation, but 180K is not, it's not unreasonable. Um, but I wouldn't, that's the thing, is like, here's the target. Okay, cool. I would probably come in at like something close to, again, it would just be like an hours based thing. So instead of having to facilitate all projects or something all the time, it would just be per project basis, do it at like, I don't know, 85, $90 an hour. And Bob's your uncle, 4 hours later, you're done, as opposed to whatever it would cost to have somebody on full staff, right? For pay them for whatever, 4 days or something like that. Or 2 days, even if it was like 2 days, it doesn't matter. You're paying 16 hours versus 4, right? That's the whole point. Anyway, let's see, rapidly growing technical HubSpot partner. Okay, agency already selling AI. Hold on a second. So that's the other aspect of it, right? So best approach, don't sell or sell, right? Best approach, argument becomes, I'm not trying to replace the person you're hiring. I can give you senior overflow capacity while demand is ahead of the bench, which is exactly what the purpose of this one is. Again, like you wouldn't be hiring me to replace somebody full time. That wouldn't make any sense. Yep. Your clients ask about AI. Yep. So this would be like pretty much the same thing, except more towards RevOps. Yep. Yeah. And that's, I mean, like, I don't know how many other people are realistically offering that. I'm just all about that. So, like the whole idea of Wizard of Oz, like just being the man behind the curtain that makes other agencies and businesses look good. And it's sales, BD. Yep. Okay, so like this is, again, like what they say, how they talk about things, how you should approach them. Okay. Let's see. Painting language here, native. Okay, so when it comes to what they're actually saying on social and pain signals and stuff, let's do a separate search for that and really do a deep dive, because I feel like you might be garnering just surface level things and we're not going deep enough for each ICP. Give me a compacted output so that I'm not having to like read through a syllabus or whatever of everything that's going on. Just give me the rundown on each one and then approach to each based on that rundown. Also match up the product and service offering as well as a backup, let's say. So assuming that somebody says, no, not right now, or no, not in budget, or no, looking at another candidate, what are the responses? All that kind of stuff. So like anytime you're sitting there thinking, especially if you're like just getting started out, which I am, and you know, I've done sales before. It was a long time ago. It wasn't for SaaS and it wasn't for services, so it's definitely different because of the fact that you have to you have to define, develop, and determine what it is that you are able to offer and why it is so valuable to the person that you're offering it to. So that's where this aspect comes in very succinctly, because you're not going to be able to get that just by looking at firmographics. You need to actually synthesize multiple data points to be able to understand your client and your potential lead better, so that you can speak their language and like meet them where they're at. Because the discussion, like, if anybody watching ends up hearing from me anytime soon, um, it's not going to be a sales pitch. It's just going to be us talking and shooting the shit about something, and me finding out. Realistically, it's a conversation, because all I need to do is investigate. And if I can have a conversation with you and we can talk about AI and we can talk about HubSpot and we can talk about releases coming up and customers having change management issues and rollouts of agents and things like that. And in that conversation and in those discussions, I can hear the pain signals and I can hear what I want to hear, right? Then I don't even have to worry about like, am I going to be able to sell to this person? It's just a matter of like, oh, over time, they're going to eventually, right? We'll have another discussion at some point, right? And at least because I started a natural discussion and turned it into a conversation, it's far more likely that we'll have another conversation in the future, and it's not going to turn into me bugging them again, right? If you're pitching somebody, even if you send them a message like on the invite, the message on the invite needs to be relative to them, what they do, and not speak towards like a pain point necessarily. If you speak to a pain point, I mean, other people might not. I don't know. Again, like, depends on how the market is reacting right now. But to me, a telltale sign that somebody is sending me an automated lead something or other is that it tries to mention a pain point in the first message. And it's like, oh, okay, well, you clearly did some background research. You did something that, is attempting to tell you something about me, but in every single case, they get it wrong. But don't do that. Just don't be so aggressive to sell right out the gate. Like, just have a soft touch about it, and it goes a long way. I've already had several people tell me recently that they didn't expect the conversation to go in the direction that it did, but they were happy that it went there. So I think that that's the best response that you can possibly get from connecting with someone. Anyhow, let's see. Founder-led boutique agency. Okay. This is perfect for me. Yeah, like anything. Okay. Don't really care so much about that. Can help out with this. Really like this. These are the top 3 that I like. Let's see. It's so weird because like my I do have a live monitor on my speed test, but it just flickers. Basically, it's like a candle. I wish I could tell you what keeps jacking it up. that sucks. Okay, just gotta grind this out to the end. Don't care. All right. Growing technical partner. This is all under how we would approach each. So you're doing increasingly technical HubSpot work. So again, if you didn't understand how to have these conversations, right? And so what we can say is objection handling gets in there. All right. Okay, so now that we've got this sort of framework put together, can you develop an ask for creating a scheduled task that performs a search daily for at least 5 viable leads that match any of the given ICPs? Get down to medium because it's like if you're just writing a prompt, man, you're not trying to solve world hunger. Should honestly kick it down to instant, but I can almost feel in my bones like it's going to leave something out. Cool. Let's see. Strong lead signals, multiple technical delivery, qualified deprioritized. So again, this is the aspect where you want to really tighten in and make sure that what's being put in here is what you want to get in terms of lead search. Otherwise, you start pulling in some dirty stuff that you're not going to want to mess with, and you're just going to get upset and then disqualified immediately, which is not necessarily the worst thing. What's really nice about this method and system is that it is fluid and organic. So when you want to make updates and changes to how the search is getting done, you can. It's not like you have to go in and change a bunch of like technical stuff and make, ton of different tweaks and changes to all these different levers and buttons and not. You just naturally tell it what you need. Payment hypothesis, best buyer, social language, recommended approach, objection backup, gives us lead score for fit, current demand signals, capacity pressure signals, AI relevance, technical fit, buyer accessibility, recency of triggers. I want to see, this is not related to this project per se, but I want to see if pretty sure I can write to the space that I need to write to, but I don't know that I can. I don't know that it's hooked up to the right account. Let's go ahead and do that. Reconnect. I know this seems like a waste of time. Just bear with me. I think I have it on the demo. Oh no. Why do you guys do that? Why do you guys do that? Huh? Why do you make the approve button the non-lit up one? Like, I don't even understand that. Why would you put cancel on the side where accept is like almost always? It should be both. Like, you're operating on the right-hand side, so just put everything on the right-hand side. It's so annoying to me when stuff like, even if one thing is like UX wise, if it's like out of place, it's like, what, that doesn't, if it didn't make logical sense and you're riding down the right side rail the whole time, then like keep it there. Okay, I think. Can you create custom properties with the connector to the current account for HubSpot? Should say that. This is specifically for HubSpot. Pretty sure it can. I forget because I use Harry for this kind of stuff. So yeah, cool. Create the following custom. Create the following custom properties, please. Like the fact that I'm getting latency pushback on my whisper is like I don't know what to tell you. Just don't. If you have the option for internet and one of the options is Spectrum, don't take it. That's all I can tell you. Just don't go with that system. Oh man. Okay, so this would be on the contacts. Okay. So what I'm doing that for is because GPT cannot create custom properties, but it can write to properties. So cool. 3 quick questions. Relevance, multi-line text. Okay. I'm going to be creating separate properties for the lead scoring that you're doing. So there's going to be a separate property for ICP fit, current demand signals, capacity pressure signs, AI relevance, technical fit, buyer accessibility, and recency of triggers. Given that that's the case, can you please give me the property setup that I can use in HubSpot in order to create these as custom properties on contacts so that those values get filled in when the leads get returned from the automated run? Wow, man. Did not ask for those, but sure. Yeah, we totally get it. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you ask for the world, it's going to come back in your face. Stop, man. Just stop. Just ask for like a very small, just these. Just these. Yeah, I know. That's totally fine. Just need the table values. Okay. Should be able to read it. Yep. Really? Okay, but oh, man, this is so super annoying. Like just the latency aspect is so super annoying right now. Like not being able to work as quickly going back and forth is crazy. All right, so let's just move forward with the actual final for this. Okay, so we're going to take the request. You can go as a um, copy paste, or you can do it as an open request that won't really matter, or a pasted request that won't matter. So difference between the two is that GPT Work is the same thing as Claude Co-work. All the same sort of connectors, all the same sort of stuff. I guess the difference between the two, like whenever somebody asks me like why would you use one over the other, it really comes down to like the way one model thinks versus the way that another model thinks like through a particular problem. So like some models um, think creatively through stuff. GPT tends to like just kind of cut through like a knife. So yes, this is going to be as long as my connection can maintain it. It is meant to be Mondays and Wednesdays from 12 to 1. I will definitely try to be more active about posting it, and definitely hate that LinkedIn is just not built for this kind of stuff, because it swallows the preview image pretty much every single time. So it's great. I get to do manual setups for 2 out of 3 outputs, or 2 out of 3 station connections. Doesn't matter. Okay. And so what you end up with, and I hope that it's going to have a like a read on the side, but what you should end up with here is a schedule that you can adjust. But again, if you wanted to adjust it verbally, you can always do that as well. A schedule that you can adjust that you're using for daily lead aggregation. And again, it is a bit, I don't know, like I don't want to call it inbound necessarily. It's certainly not outbound, because you're not just like getting a list and spamming it with stuff. So it is like something right in between, where you're using a tool to aggregate leads that are actually specific to your ICP, that you are then going to follow up with personally, right? Like whether it's you have to follow up on Reddit, if you have to follow up on LinkedIn, if you have to follow up on X, if you have to follow up on Instagram or Facebook, doesn't matter. The point of this methodology of GTM is not for you to try to spam people and try to remove like the human from the loop of doing things. The point is to actually put the human in the strongest position for what this aspect is, right? The human's strongest position is generating the relationship. It's not generating the lead. So use the AI to generate the lead for you, and then use your capability as a human to then further the relationship with that lead. So yeah, this is going to work through it, and it's eventually going to build out an automation that's related to um, my particular business. And you can do like, so I think my scheduled tasks are actually completely full up, but just to show you what can be accomplished with scheduled tasks. If you are in the business of looking for candidates for a particular job, you can absolutely build a job candidate search, right? And it will go through and go through and look for candidates for whatever it is that you're trying to find a position for. You can give it all of the information that you want. And then because of the fact that it's GPT Work, again, just like Claude Cowork, you can just have it send it to your email, have it send you a Slack message, whatever you want. I've already got a prospect search that's set up. And then there's also, so I have a donor radar set up for my wife that, again, what this does is it goes out and looks for new businesses in the area that may not be donating to organizations, or maybe they are companies and organizations that are looking specifically to donate or have gift programs, or offer some type of gift program, or work with some type of nonprofit organization to help them out. And it essentially goes out, looks for any of those companies that might match, and brings all that information to her, and again shoots it to her in an email, so that she doesn't even have to go out and look for anything, and has like all the hyperlinks and everything already created. Okay, so today's report found 6 viable new leads, and we've already got rankings for them as well. 1406 Consulting. So if you guys end up hearing from me, now you know how. Which this is also part of the conversation when I talk to people. They're like, well, how did you even hear about what it is that we're doing? And the conversation is, I put together a lead generation engine through ChatGPT. You can do the same thing in you can do this exact same thing inside of HubSpot. So maybe we'll do that next week. On Monday, we'll do a HubSpot agent version of this. And you can use that to do to pull these profiles, and then you can put them into, I mean, if you want to, right? Again, with great power comes great responsibility. So yes, theoretically, you could use this system, and even now, like I could have GPT feed these leads into, or like if I was doing this with Claude, it would be able to create the records in HubSpot, populate the information, populate the field data, and that could end up kicking off an automated sequence in HubSpot, either that's a sequence or nurture, one of the two. You can keep going further, right? And say, elite partner hiring for integration, implementation, and sales capacity simultaneously. Okay, so let's take a look at 1406 consulting. Assume that we are targeting them specifically. What does the conversation look like, start to finish? Going to be doing this through LinkedIn personal messaging. That's the thing. It's like, even if you're not connected with the person, so what? Connect with them, right? Write them a message, especially if you're like B2B. The reason that this works so well with like non-BDR titles and like non-sales titles is because everybody is expecting a BDR or salesperson or a GTM engineer or a GTM representative or whatever sort of client relations management, doesn't matter. Something like that, some position, is if they're reaching out, that it's a solicitation. That it's not going to be somebody that's just genuinely looking to have a conversation with you, unless the material in the message that they sent on the invitation looks good enough, then I guess you could. It's really low probability. The system, one of the systems that I actually set up to do that actually had a very high probability of had like a 45 to 50% open rate. But again, you have to put a lot of work into those messaging systems to actually make them worthwhile and make them not seem like they're just automated trash. Rich, just weird. That is like the worst glitch I've ever seen. Yeah, so that's special. Man, I don't know, guys. I got to tell you, and I'm sure that most people won't believe it. You'd have to ask my wife, because she's probably the only person that can best explain it to you. And realistically, I'm not sure how I'm here, given this fact. I have what you could consider to be one of the worst forms of luck possible, which is that I wish I was joking, if I want something to happen, like really badly, I really, really want something, 100% not going to happen. And like even in making the effort to try to make that happen, it's quite the train wreck along the way. And again, I know so many people are probably like, no, that's everybody. Don't worry about it. No, trust me. you would again, my wife has experienced it so many times that even she can't believe it, but understands it every single time it happens. So yeah, anyhow, Rich, I'm not going to be reaching out to you, man. It's just for example here. So Matt Smith, CEO, again, like not going to be reaching out to you guys, just example. Position should be, I help HubSpot partners absorb technically complex delivery work. Yeah, because I mean, like this is a decently difficult conversation to have, that especially from like, think about it from inside the agency, right? There's two things to this. There's two sides. Yes, it's very appealing to agency owners because of the fact that I'm going to be able to facilitate whatever it is that you need in a fraction of the time that it would take most other people to do it. And it's going to be whatever it is that you need, right? It's going to be as robust or able to perform whatever functions it is. The aspect is like when you're in the agency and you find out that work got done from like an outside partner that was helping out or an outside agency that was helping out. I don't know what that does to like internal like rapport or internal morale in terms of like, I just don't know what that does to internal morale. But I think it helps agencies that have trouble with overhead, but they want to continue down this avenue of being able to facilitate AI-based clients. So, so this would be like if you were running that automated crap. This is exactly what the connection flow would look like for that. You would start out with, this messaging. This is the dumbest possible thing you can say. Like, I'd enjoy connecting. Like, everybody would. Like, what? So like this doesn't sound like me at all, which is fine because making it sound like you is probably one of the easiest things that you can do nowadays with AI models. Like from here, I can legitimately tell GPT like, hey, this doesn't really sound like me. Why don't you go read through some of my emails, read through some of my Slack messages, and come back and rephrase all of this so that it sounds way more like the way I would say it. If they respond with a specific pain point, if they said send me more information, if they actually show interest. So yeah, I wouldn't actually have this conversation flow with somebody. I would legitimately just be like, hey, look, I did some research about, like, that's my intro is I did some research about your agency through my agent, and it showed that you either had an opening for this position or that you had at some point expressed some whatever commentary or something like that on a post about whatever issue you might be having or something like that. Just wanted to talk to you about like best ways to solve that problem, right? And it's not a conversation, again, when we get into it, it's not a conversation where I talk about like me or I talk about services or I talk about offering or something like that. It turns into a conversation of like, hey, how can I solve your problem? The thing I told you that I was going to do for you. Because if I do that for you and I solve your problem, you will immediately see the value in working with me, right? Especially if I can solve more than one problem fairly easily for free, right? And it takes like 0 time, just the conversation and the problem gets solved. Makes it pretty difficult to turn down wanting to work with that person. Oh yeah, Trish. I wish. I haven't found a way around it yet. To the point where I used to, when we first moved up here, I used to love going out to breakfast every Sunday. We'd go out to breakfast, and sort of plan our day out and plan the week and all that kind of thing. And after maybe, I don't know, 2 months of trying, it just got to be the point where we're like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we just make breakfast at home on Sundays because that's just never going to work out seemingly. It is what it is. It's funny to me. So I want to see what this is going to look like tomorrow. And then even when it comes to this aspect of it, right, you can, let's see, where did we start here is, let's take a look at 1406 Consulting, assume that we were targeting them specifically. What does the conversation look like? You can get this output for each one of them, right? And have that come out as part of this report. Do you really want like that much information? Don't know. Okay. Could be the case that you just want this stuff, again, you just put it as part of another workflow that then writes the stuff as information into the CRM and creates contacts and fills in the information. Let me see really quick. Can you create this as a company within HubSpot? I don't know why the MCP connectors are different from one. Yeah, awesome. Can you please create this as a company record in HubSpot for 1406. It'd be awesome if it actually asks me if I want to. Oh boy, just the fact that navigating is slow. I don't know what it is. Maybe like everybody on my block streams at noon or something. I have no idea. Sweet. So, even though it can do that, did I create those properties yet? Yeah, no, Claude didn't want to do it for some reason. Could use Harry, but it's okay. Even though, so all we would really want to do at this point is with this like GTM automation put together, I think next time we'll go through and look at, okay, what are the aspects of this that we want to keep and we want to have as part of the record? And then what aspects of that information can we use to synthesize additional information, right? Cool. Want to skip confirmations? Just ask. Okay, so going to approve it, going to add it to the CRM. And then I will update this automation so that it automatically adds the found leads to the CRM. So we'll take a look at what that looks like next week. And I'll also add some additional custom properties to the record. And then we can take a look at what the synthesized data looks like in terms of outreach approach, especially given, so like I'll also bring in the custom voice aspect of things. We'll work on that and apply all of those to this whole GTM process so that in the end you end up with discussions that sound exactly like you and makes it just 10 times easier to break the ice with people, you know, find a starting point, all of that kind of thing. And again, even in these approaches, right, it's almost always going to be the case that it's assuming that you're doing like a three-step touch and that you're going to want to make the third step the, hey, why don't we sit down for a meeting or something like that. So it's easy enough to just redirect it and say like, hey, we're not trying to do a hard sell here. We're just trying to turn it into a casual conversation that may or may not end up in connecting on a call. But the goal is not to actually connect on the call. The goal is to build the relationship. So we'll take a look at all that on Monday. Hopefully the connection is also better by then. If not, I will have to bust out a hotspot and see if that works. We'll see. Till then, AI Daily, Value First AI Daily News coming at you today at 5 Eastern, 4 Central. And then that is also going to be changing hours. We're going to be doing it at 12 Central, 1 Eastern from tomorrow forward. So you'll be able to get your AI Daily News during the day and just pop that on and be able to listen to it while you're at work. Hope you guys have a great weekend and see you on Monday.